We're going to talk about straight keys, specifically this new Putikeeg key that I got. I'm Becky, and sometimes called Straight Key Becky. I am one half of the ham radio duo. The other half is back there behind the camera. Say hi.
Hello.
If you don't know already, I love straight keys. I even use them for POTA activations. I use them at the house. I just prefer them. So we're going to get into what keys that I have today, but specifically review this new Putikeeg that I got. So the magic of CW is it's really just pushing a button. All these keys are just kind of fancy ways to push a button. Some of you might not know what this is. It's a microphone. Just kidding. But there's a button. So this can be used for CW just like these. So the funny story is, we met JoeBrett at Hamfest, and we went over to his camper, and he had an ICOM 7300 set up, but we didn't have an adapter for a key. Both Mike and I hunted POTA activators with the button on his microphone. And later on, when we got our own, we also forgot the adapter, and we had 30-minute rag chew conversations with our friend Stu, KM3STU, literally just using the mic. So now we're going to nerd out just a little bit because these are a little bit more than buttons here. So we're going to talk about some of them individually. So just like a musician nerds out about their instruments, we nerd out about our buttons. So today I'm gonna specifically talk about the Putikeeg, but also compare it to the other keys that I have access to. The first one is my very first key, which is a very common CW Morse key. I got it as a present from that guy back there the day I got my ticket, and it's a great key. I practiced on it, learned on it, first QSO on the radio on it, first POTA activation on it. It's a great little key. So first I'm gonna kind of compare these two. You can tell they're about the same size. This one's a little bit smaller, but if you were to hold them, this Putikeeg is probably about 30% heavier, but you can tell why. It's made pretty much completely out of aluminum except for the knob. And this one here does have an aluminum base, but it has a lot of plastic and 3D printed parts, which is kind of a big difference. So those are some similarities, but now let's talk a little bit more about some of the specific differences and why I like the Putikeeg. This has the ability to attach a cable to it. You can pick the length that you want. If the cable gets damaged, you can just reattach another one. Whereas actually both of these two keys, you have to use a bare wire to attach the cable. So another thing to talk about, which everybody wants to know, is the cost. So this one is a great starter key. It's about $40. So to start learning CW, $40, and you can get on the air and start practicing. The Putikeeg is $60, but spoiler alert, I really like it. And there are some pretty good reasons why it's $20 more, which we'll get into more. The MFJ key is about $35, and it does not come on the mount, which you're probably gonna wanna add, but it's also a great starter key. I like to use it in the house. So the MFJ key, as you can tell, is a little bit more of a classic design, kind of like the J38 in the older keys, but we're really just using it to kind of compare the differences in keys. But the focus is really on these two, and mostly because we like to activate portable, and these two are great portable keys. So most of you probably already know this, but the adjustability of a key is important also, and most keys have two areas of adjustment: the amount of tension on the key as well as the spacing between the contacts. So we're going to dive into that now. So on the CW Morse key, from the side here, you can see that there's two areas to adjust: the distance between the contacts, which is the space here, as well as how much pressure. And if you notice, this is adjusted based on springs. And this is where there's a big difference between the CW Morse key and the Putikeeg key. So the Putikeeg key difference is in the tension. Instead of it using a spring, it uses magnetic force, which according to Adam K6ARK is an exponential change in the amount of force required versus a linear change on a spring. So let's look at the difference. The adjustability for the spacing is back here, and the adjustability for the tension is this magnetic adjustment right here. So if I have this all the way out, it's very easy for me to push the key. And as I start to turn it in, if I go all the way in, it's a significant difference in how hard I have to push the key to make contact. So I think tension is important. As you increase the tension, you have to be more purposeful about each sound that you want to make. And as a beginner, that's sometimes helpful. As you get more experienced or want to send faster, you want a little bit less tension so that you can move the key faster. So in summary, tension is actually a pretty important adjustable feature. And on the Putikeeg, there's just a wide range of tension ability to adjust. You can go all the way from barely being able to touch the key and it producing contact, or a lot of pressure in order to produce contact, which I really like, versus the CW Morse key. There's just a small window of how much you can adjust it. So another reason I prefer this magnetic tension. Overall, you really can't go wrong with any of these keys. Like I said at the beginning, it's just a button. So it's just a matter of how you want to be able to adjust the button that you push to produce your Morse code. So one thing to consider, and the reason I actually like this key, is because it's really precise. If you look at the difference in this one, this has a lot longer lever arm, and so it feels like an extension to your arm, so it just feels different. This is tiny and it's very precise. Something else was really fun. I had 3 back-to-back QSOs with Bill, Brian, and Scott all in one night on 3 separate keys. It took me a minute to kind of go between the keys and practice to get the feel for it, but I was able to have really great rag 2 conversations regardless of which key I used. So now my opinion in what it's like to use these keys and the final verdict. For sure right now this Putikeeg is my favorite key, but that might change because I might get another one in a couple weeks and really love that one, and then get another one and another one. And Mike says it's official, I'm a ham operator because I'm starting to accumulate gear. But that's my preference right now. It has a really great feel to it. It has great adjustability, and for the use case that we use, we love to be portable, we love to POTA activate, so this is just really a great key for that. And it's more durable, it's weather resistant, there's not a lot of plastic parts, so it's going to last a long time as well. The fun part about CW is that I might get a new key in a month and that might be my new favorite one. Or I might go activate on the CW Morse key again and wow, that was super fun. So I think that's one of the unique things about ham radio in general, is that you can always just change something up and go have a whole different experience. The other good thing about this key is it really is $60. It's not going to break the bank, but it's a very solid, great key. I know a lot of this is just personal preference, and my experience really is just on these 3 keys, but it really is all about the feel. And if you find a key that feels good, it sends good, and you have fun with it, then that's the key for you. On another note, I've never tried a Bengali key, so Bengali, if you're out there watching, I'd love to try one. Thanks for watching me review this great new Putikeeg key that I got.
And if you haven't subscribed, please do so. It's a free way to be able to support us and help encourage us to keep making content like this. We do a POTA activation about once a week, and then occasionally when we can, we do videos like this.
Thanks for joining.
You know, creatures.